overview of the activities in general. There's lots of new exciting stuff happening that we're going to be rolling out pretty much very soon after this meeting. But before we talk more about that, I need to introduce myself to give a bit of an update on the results of the Vector Control Needs Assessment that was conducted last year. So at last year's annual meeting, I presented a very preliminary set of data from the 2024 assessments. We've now completed that data analysis and are in the process of writing up a report on that. So I thought I'd just give you a quick update on how that's going. And Tessa, if I talk too long, please let me know. Next slide, Sally. So for those that don't know on the call, a vector control needs assessment is one of the core activities within the PacMOSSI program. It's something that's recommended to be done within WHO's global guidelines and global framework for vector control. And the aim is to, do an assessment, a situation analysis of each country's current capacity and needs. And we use that to obviously give feedback to the country about how they're going with their vector surveillance and control capacity, but also to help inform the PacMOSSI activities to try and make sure that we are actually aligning them with those needs. So next slide, thanks Sally. The way we did this was through an online survey. You can do more complicated needs assessments where you go to every country and whatnot and conduct interviews. That wasn't feasible in our case, so it's all been done as an online survey and then follow-up discussions with each country. We first did this in 2021 and repeated it again in 2024, so we've got now a comparison of 2 different time periods. And we sent 2 different surveys, one focused on capacity for combating Aedes-borne diseases and a separate one for Anopheles, which is only 3 of the Pacific countries. And it's quite different, the capacity requirements. So we designed the survey based on the recommendations from the WHO framework for doing such things. And the survey is just showing a bit of an example there. It assesses everything from program management, staff, training needs, infrastructure, how much equipment and lab spaces are available. And then we also collected some information on what are the routine vector surveillance and control activities. So in 2021, we had a very good response considering we'd only just started the project and we're still trying to figure out who is everyone in each country. 18 out of 21 countries responded to the survey, which was fantastic. And we had follow-up Zoom meetings with almost every country. This was still in COVID time as well. So that was an incredible result given everything that was going on. We provide a report to each country on their survey responses and also some of our recommendations based on that. And in 2024, when we repeated, we got 19 countries, also a fantastic result, and we did that one in record time. The first survey took several months of follow-up, and the second survey, everyone did it within pretty much a month, which was incredible. We again provided some reports to all the countries, this time comparing 2021 versus 2024. Next slide, Sally. And this is just a little snapshot of what a country report looks like. So we have showing here the vector control indicators, for example, what kind of activities are done, whether they're done at all, occasionally, annually, or maybe just during outbreaks. Just to give you an idea of what that looks like. If you want to see all the indicators, as Tessa mentioned, you can go to the PacMOSSI website and have a look. We've got a dashboard of all the countries that responded, and you can see the 2021 versus 2024 results for everything, well, for some of the key indicators there. Next page, Sally. So some of the main findings, and I want to acknowledge here the lovely Maru Castellanos, who did the analysis for us, and we've been working together on this. And shown in green are all of the responses from countries in 2024 that were statistically different or higher, a change, an improvement compared to 2021. And these are what are called, you know, the 80s surveillance indicators, or basically a whole list of recommended activities that are assessed fairly regularly for 80s mosquitoes. So adult occurrence, just do you have these species? How abundant are they? How often do they bite? When do they bite? Where do they rest? Are they resistant to insecticides, etc., etc.? And we have seen through the 2024 results a substantial increase in countries that are doing these activities somewhat regularly compared to what was happening in 2021. So that's a great outcome. For vector control, we didn't see much change. The results of that aren't shown here, but just to say quickly, one of the key findings was that surveillance had increased a lot. Control was about the same. There wasn't any substantial change in vector control activities. In training, we did see another substantial change with the 2021 results shown in yellow in terms of how many staff would be confident to train other staff in these types of essential skills for surveillance and control. And in 2024, we saw, again, a very substantial increase in some of the key areas, such as how to do mosquito trapping, how to plan and manage vector control programs, and how to do mosquito identification, etc., which are, you know, all of the core things that we have been training and harping on about through PacMOSSI for the last few years. So very reassuring to see that there has been some impact, not that we can claim all the credit, of course, but really great to see some increased confidence with some of these core surveillance and control skills. Another piece of data that is not shown is that we also assessed what were the priorities for training going forward. And interestingly, they're about the highest priority areas are pretty much the same as those that where the confidence is increased. So it seems that across most ministries of health in most countries, those sort of core 4 skills are still very important, and there's still definitely a need for training in those areas. Next, thanks, Sally. The VCNA also took the opportunity to seek some qualitative feedback from countries on how they felt about the PacMOSSI program and our training. And we got some really positive feedback, essentially saying that the combination of the online learning with the in-person training is a really nice balance. And doing one sort of as a precursor to the other, it seemed a lot of people gave positive feedback that that was good and that they liked having the flexibility with the online training, but then also the hands-on with the in-person training. So that was reassuring as well. Next, Sally. So in summary, it's a very quick overview. There will be a report coming out soon that describes this all in more detail, but this is a tool that we're using through the program to track the status and the progress throughout the Pacific and get a bit of feedback. We're hoping that it helps both the countries and also our team in PacMOSSI to prioritise how we can best support countries. And it's nice to see that there does seem to be some modest improvement in at least surveillance activity since 2021. Next, Sally. So as I said, we will publish a report comparing the results from 2021 to 2024 that's been drafted already, and use those findings to inform the countries, inform the region, and advocate for the needs of the Pacific countries based on this data. And that's it. Thank you very much.